the first time in 1996 here at Shark Park, and very much a showpiece now of the Cronulla Sutherland area. This ground is picture perfect for tonight's match against the St George Dragons as the Sharks get a good greeting from their home fans. The crowd just in excess of 10,000. That's the lineup for tonight, very similar to last year, the exception being Paul Fisher will wear jumper number 9 tonight in the hooking role. Of course, Aaron Raper moving off-season to the Parramatta Eels. John Lang, the coach of the Cronulla Sharks. And now the mighty St George Dragons, 75 years old, this club, and never have they had a tougher fight than over the last 6 to 12 months. But there's still plenty of spirit left in this club. Scott Goulet on screen there, behind him one of the young guns, Lance Thompson. They'll start tonight as underdogs, but a local derby, they really do fire up for this match. Pressure tonight on the two halves. Number 6, Scott Murray, a former Rooster, and the young halfback, Ben Custo. So a new look St George Dragons side for 1996. David Waite, formerly of Newcastle, is the St George coach. And for tonight's round 2 clash in the Optus Cup, Kelvin Jeffs the referee. And for this first half, it will be Cronulla running from right to left on your screen. Mitch Healy will have us underway. And now that crowd builds up as they stream out of the Leagues Club on the eastern side of the ground. Play underway. And it's Lance Thompson who gets the ball and gets it back up to the 20. Just 18 years of age, the first time in the run-on side in a premiership match tonight, as Custo slipping that ball away and Coyne able to take the ball forward over the 20. And a very sloppy play, the ball. Both players competing for it. A turnover now for the Cronulla Sharks. And a chance to attack just outside the 20. This is Davidson. Up to the 20 he goes. Taken around the legs there by the 5'8", Scott Murray. Now on the outside, this is Sean Ryan. Dropped the hip into the front rower, Troy Stone. The former Shark himself. They're now 10 metres out from the St George line. Almost a knock on there, a dummy half by Fisher. Green went across field, forced to come back towards the traffic, then throws the pass wide there for Ryan. Second touch for him in this set of 6 and wrapped up by Murray, still 10 metres out. And the Sharks with Denny Lee, 5 metres out from the line. Double effort there. Troy Stone was the first man in. This is the last tackle for Cronulla. Healy, a long looping pass all the way out to Barnett, comes back infield. Still the last play for the Sharks is Samet. Can't get the ball away. Now he does, and it's over the sideline. No, says the linesman. But a changeover for the end of 6.
And some good defence by St George in the end after the sloppy play. The ball, it cost them 6 tackles, and a long ball there really didn't have to be thrown. He really threw it to a man who was already marked by 2 players. So an opportunity gone for Cronulla is Wayne Bartram. Queensland look goes straight through.
Bartram up over the 40. Green the second line of defence, and Eddinghausen it was who had to come from behind. Great run from Wayne Bartram. Plenty of fire in the Dragons as Murray goes wide. 5 metres inside the Sharks' half. Their first or second use of the football, a lot better than the first, is now Scott Goulet, straight and hard, made another 10 metres. Now 35 metres out from the line. Custo across to Stone. Puts a step before he gets to the line, and that wrong-footed the defence. Davidson fell off. This is the 5th tackle for St George. Hardy a dummy half for Custo. He puts the left footer high. It goes sideways. Is it headed over the sideline on the full? It is. A disappointing start for young Ben Custo. Out on the full. Debut match for him tonight. Sideline duties tonight with Stephen Roach.
Yes, that's going to be the problem for young Ben Custo. Plenty of pressure put on him now because Noel Goldthorpe back into the St George side. Played a half a game in reserve grade, so the little fella will probably be worried about that. I expect a torrid clash here tonight. The ground in magnificent form. Big gains from Goulet. He has to lead the way for the St George side.
And a penalty here to the Sharks. A little over-enthusiastic in the tackle. The St George players, yes, just on Noel Goldthorpe. He sported jumper number 42. I think there'll be too many occasions you'll wear that jumper tonight. There's David Barnhill over the top. Lance Thompson, there's 3 of them there. Jeff Hardy also. He could have pinged any one of the 3. So Healy with a touch finder. The Sharks, of course, it's well documented. Clubs this weekend with very little football under their belt over the past month or so. Paul Fisher in a dummy half. To the blind side they go with Green, dummy. Not fallen for by Mark Coyne, and It was a good tackle, but not quite good enough to stop the ball. Carrying on now for Craig Greenhill. Very impressive last year, Craig Greenhill. Came down with John Lang in 1994 as now Les Davidson taking on the defence as he has done for many a season. 25 out from the St George line, and the Dragons down to 12. Player left on the previous play on the flat of his back. As the Sharks 30 metres out with Denny Lee. Taken down below by Hardy. Over the top came Wayne Bartram. Last tackle now for the Sharks. Healy sets himself for the high ball. There wasn't a lot of pressure on him. This is a mighty kick from Mitch Healy. No one gets close to it from the Dragons. It is a try to Cronulla. Ben Semmett dives on the football. Jeffs waits his time to award the try, but it's a fair four-pointer. A clean miss from the Dragons, and Semmett puts the Sharks in front 4-0.
And back 30 metres away, St George player still down, very groggy from a tackle on Les Davidson that went horribly wrong. Mitch Healy puts the bomb up. They're all onside. Chris Quinn, former Cronulla player himself, never got near it. It was 1,000,000 to 1. He made a lunge, but there's hands everywhere there. They're all claiming it. And the referee had no hesitation in awarding it. The player injured was Scott Murray. So St George unlucky, down to 12 men. Looks like Ben Semmett, who gets the try for the Sharks. Chris Quinn really never got near that. A lot of pressure put on by Nick Howe. So a good start for the Cronulla side.
You saw from that replay almost a photo finish between Semmett and Tawira Nakau. I don't think either player will mind who gets it. It equals the same, 4 points. And Cronulla tonight, Mitch Healy with the goal-kicking duties. No Matt Rogers. He had a shoulder reconstruction during the off-season. Still recuperating. He was the leading point scorer last year for the Sharks. But Healy, too, a fairly competent goal kicker. And this kick from 10 metres off centre, 15 metres out. To put the Sharks in front, 6-0, he misses. So, football tonight from Shark Park, and it's the Sharks in front, 4-0.
Dawn Fraser, legend for big Olympic wins.
And I'm going for me 5th, Atlanta. I just scratched the
Charge now.
It's never too late to start watching.
I'm sorry.
Stop saying that!
Central Park West on NBN.
So off and running again with the St George Dragons, Wayne Bartram. High restart from him, and Semmett picks up the robust figure of Craig Greenhill. Over the 20.
Aren't they an impressive pair of second-row partners, these two, in Sean Ryan and Craig Greenhill? A mistake made by Cronulla, so let off for St George. They can get back into the game here, but they run hard, both Greenhill and Ryan. That's a tragic play, the ball, that one.
Look at it on the replay, blocker on the sideline.
Yeah, a little bit of bad luck there for Scott Murray, as you said earlier. Just bad technique. He got his head in front of Les Davidson's knees and caught a knee, so he's injured. And on right now is Anthony Mundine.
Mundine in at 5'8". And now the Dragons have come up with a mistake on the first. Jason Donnelly. Not the sort of thing that brings a smile to the coach, I'm sure. A wits from Coach David Waite. The head-to-head between these two clubs over the years. St George with an advantage here at Shark Park, though, or as it was known, Endeavour or Caltex Field or Ronson along the way. 12 apiece and 1 draw, so just to put one team in front tonight, possibly, if it's not a draw, as Donaghy from that scrum came back in field. They're 25 out from their own line, the Sharks, leading by 4 points to 0, and Paul Green went into the knees of one of the St George defenders, quite accidental as far as it might have been Scott Goulet's knee that he hit. And it's shaken him up a little bit, the little bloke, Paul Green. They're inside their own territory. And Davidson again goes looking for the defenders, bumps away from one, picked up Fisher in support. He's a good player, this Paul Fisher. He certainly does fit the role of utility. He's played anywhere in the back line. Lock forward, 5'8", and now hooker tonight. Tawira Nakau slipped a pass. Ryan, then away to Donaghy. Dummy to the support player, Semmett. Tackled 10 metres out, now 5 metres out before Hardy puts an end to his progress. The Sharks on the boil, 5 metres out from the line. With Fisher, tries the grubber kick behind the line. Quinn gets across this time to clean up. And just into the field of play, although Jeffs is going to rule that he grounded it in the in-goal area. Line dropout.
Strong defence there by the Sharks to force the in-goal dropout, but having players like Les Davidson in your side is so invaluable because he can offload. He started about a 50-metre run there, or a 50-metre attacking move by Cronulla, through a simple offload, and it just went on, and Donaghy in the end was held by Chris Quinn. Davidson, he's been around since about 1986, 85, and he's a very strong player.
Got to say, just an observation too on what referee Kelvin Jeffs is wearing tonight, diverting from the aqua colours. From this distance, quite confusing. You looked up and Jeffs looked like one of the St George players, to be quite honest. I know there's no red V on his shirt, but it's a little confusing out there in the defensive line when he lines up beside the St George players. Cronulla with Sean Ryan, 30 metres out. Nice tackle, that one. Placed him on that 30-metre line. Troy Stone getting through plenty of defensive work. This is Fisher out of dummy half. Stone comes up with a double. No trouble putting Fisher to ground. Samet. Now Davidson. Had to take him high, right on that 20. Goulet was first man in. The assist came from Barnhill. Again, 5 tackles for Cronulla. Green tries the high ball on Quinn. He'll have nightmares tonight. Chris Quinn, he's lost that one. And Eddinghausen, has he scored for the Sharks? Andrew Eddinghausen, the leading try scorer for the Sharks, gets another one. And they're being bombed right out, the St George Dragons.
Oh, well, St George fans, they've hung their heads. Chris Quinn once again has made the mistake. It's a very good bomb. Plenty of look at ET coming through. There's the contest, and Quinn just done nothing there, really. And ET, a nice bounce for him, straight into his hands. Well, it's all Cronulla's way at the moment. Beautiful leap by ET.
Can score a try, Andrew Eddinghausen. And a little bit of a juggle on the way down. It's a fair contest, although Eddinghausen certainly put the back hard into Chris Quinn.
Well, that's perfectly legal, going for the ball. And it's uncharacteristic of Chris Quinn. He's a good player, very good player, great attacking player, and defensively pretty good too, and he's having a rough night tonight.
So Eddinghausen, leading try scorer in the history of the Sharks, holds the record for most in a season and most in a match. Starts 1996 off with the Sharks' second try. Mitch Healy from easy range, 10 metres out, this time no problems. And Cronulla have struck, they've struck twice. 10 points to nil.
For a limited time.
But no prizes for guessing now what the Sharks will be doing every time they get inside the Dragons' 20 on the last tackle.
Yeah,
The bomb.
yeah, it's a good ploy, isn't it? There's just no talk in the St George side, missing far too many first-up tackles. I feel a little bit sorry for Quinn. His wingers aren't getting back and shadowing off the ball. He's left there on his own.
Just saw there the stats on the defence. St George having to come up with a little over 3 times the defensive work the Sharks have had to do in the early stages of this match. As Davidson, a good 15-metre gain from Les Davidson. Much respected player in the Optus Cup. And Tawira Nakau just carrying the ball over halfway. 5 tackles for Cronulla. And no drop balls coming from them. And Healy reached this one over the head of Chris Quinn. It sits up on the bounce. Quinn gets across to it. And take it in the tackle. Really didn't have any room to move that time, Chris Quinn. Now Donnelly taken across field. The Sharks' defence, they're coming from everywhere. Almost a sack in NFL terms, pushing him back behind the goal line. Now the pressure right on the Dragons, even though they're in possession now. Cronulla with their tails up at 10-0. Short ball from Bartram, coughed up by Hardy. Cronulla back in possession, 30 metres out from the line. Barnett, this will be the first taken back in the defence. Bartram and Lance Thompson with that tackle. Now it's with Samet, certainly involving himself, the young fullback Ben Samet, up on the front line in attack. And first receiver a couple of times now was Denny Lee. Again, they fell off a tackle. That time it was Scott Goulet. Hardy came over the top to complete the tackle. Green, the switch of play for Greenhill. Greenhill almost lost the ball as he hit the deck. Cronulla still on the attack with Green. Now for Davidson. He's lost the football. St George can't regather. Knock on against the Sharks. And a sigh of relief from the St George supporters.
Yeah, they've had to do a lot of defence. But, you know, they're paying for their mistakes. They want to keep dropping the ball in their own danger zone. And they'll keep having points scored against them. But you're right about the referee and the uniform. He's good. I could imagine, you know, for instance, if Blocker was playing for Cronulla, would that referee be in danger of getting hammered tonight? By mistake, of course. Blocking.
Oh, yeah, any chance, mate, it'd be a good chance, wouldn't it?
He might still get him anyway, even if he's not playing. As Chris Quinn goes over the 20. Davidson made the tackle. This time it's Hardy. That's a better hit up for St George. Making 15 metres with that rush. Now Thompson's turn. And the Kingsgrove High School side. Barnhill's lost it with a bell ringer of a tackle. And now Green. The tackle came from Sean Ryan. It was a beauty. Puts the Sharks back on the attack. Davidson. What about the hit-ups of Les Davidson in the early part of this match? Now 8, would you believe? 5 metres out from the St George line. Bartram made the tackle. Fisher, wide ball from dummy half for Healy. What a still for Ryan. That is the bell ringer of the year. The Richter scale has gone right off the edge. Ettinghausen now. Oh, the crowd getting their money's worth. It hasn't built up over the first 10 minutes of the match. And now the switch from Salmon. The Sharks on fire. 10 points to 0. Plenty of feeling in the match. Green, great take for the pass. This time kicking for the wing of Walford, who doesn't come up with it. Barnett looks to pass. Referee Jeffs wants to play back. Donaghy was over in the corner.
Danger times again. But what about that tackle by Jason Donnelly on Sean Ryan? What a beauty. Saved a try, no doubt about it. Now, Saints, they've got to hold the ball for 6 tackles. Look at these pressure passes they're throwing. There you go again. Just hold the ball, run from dummy half, get some confidence back, and boot it. Been all Cronulla, it's been all down St George's half.
Goulet makes 15. Oh, haymaker over the top from Denny Lee. The referee was looking at the defensive line. No report from the touch judge. It was a swinging right over the top that missed the mark. Thankfully for Scott Goulet. His head might have been up with us. There's now Troy Stone. He's lost the ball. Was it reefed out? Jeff says no, knock on. So the Dragons, nothing going right for them. Let's have a look at this tackle of Jason Donnelly. It's well worth looking at again. How'd you like to earn the end of this? He's chested him.
Good strong stuff. You don't normally expect those sort of tackles from wingers, but there's one right out of the box.
Healy. It was an awkward pass to take from Paul Green. Around the knees, handling errors, 6-4 to the Dragons. But keep in mind the amount of possession St George have had. It hasn't been much. So they've dropped the ball on about 80% of the occasions that they've had it. This is Fisher for Green. That's a long pass for Nakau. They're trying to really stretch this St George defence, get it away from the ruck. With a free running back rowers of Greenhill and Ryan. And this man Davidson has been no better forward on the field. He slipped as he got to the 20 as if it was a hurdle. Here's Healy with a well-timed pass for Ettinghausen. It was a good tackle likewise from Mark Coyne. Had to be made. Last tackle for the Sharks, Healy. Well, they've given Quinn a workout. Now they're picking out Ricky Walford. This ball is anyone's. Walford's lost it into the arms of Lance Thompson. And he's away from 2 defenders. Now away from a third, Lance Thompson.
Oh, yeah, good run, son. They handled that in the end. St George, once again, a bit dusty as they go wide through Goulet.
What about the tactics? It's almost as if they feel sorry for Quinn and they're going to test out Walford.
And I've got a feeling he might have been just a touch offside too, Thompson, but the referee missed it. And the last 4 times they've had it, St George, they haven't completed a set of 6.
There's plenty of zest in the match. There's been some errors, but the pace of the game's certainly on as Barnhill got it up to halfway. So this is the saving set of 6 for St George. If they can finish it off with a good kick, and it is a good one from Custo, as it does find the line before the corner post. Well, that is a good set of 6, exactly what they wanted, straight out of the textbook.
Yeah, some good positive play and a good kick by this kid on the end of it. They just want to take their time now, get into the scrum, St George, regather. There's some more defending for them to do.
There's no ball. There's no ball. No ball.
Cronulla winning this scrum. Thinking back to the matches last year, there was a tackle that crept up a little high there from Damien Smith. The Sharks at pace, now a penalty for offside from Kelvin Jeffs. Nothing going right for the Dragons. Just going back to the 1995 results. A couple of send-offs in the matches. It ended up 1 apiece. Home and away. Cronulla's record at home last year was a disappointment in the end. Only 6 out of 11 wins. And St George, on the same note, their away record wasn't that flash. It's Healy to look for the line with his kick. A good one. Steve Roach on the sideline.
Yeah, St George's biggest problem is their marker defence. They're not chasing from marker. Green having a field day.
And here goes Davidson again, taken in the tackle of Lance Thompson. Fisher. Decoy runner was Nakau, blindside with Greenhill. And the crowd again liking what they see with Craig Greenhill. It was a 10-metre gain down that blindside. Now with Sean Ryan heavily involved in the opening to this match. Two-man tackle, Mundine and also Thompson. Fisher away for Green, now for Healy. Decoy runner that time was Eddinghausen. They tried a second man play. Samet came into the line and tackled on the 20 by Hardy. Cronulla Sutherland leading St George by 10 points to 0 as Nakau almost got the hands free. Taken in the tackle there by Stone and Bartram. 5th tackle for Cronulla. Here's the high ball again. They're getting paid $100 for the bomb, and everyone is perfectly placed. Walford juggles that one and has managed to control the football, and Jeff says, you were inside the 10. Or in fact, pushing the man back into the in-goal area. Is that what he's got them for?
I'd say so, Vossi. And once again, pinpoint accuracy from Paul Green tonight and Mitch Healy with these kicks. And Walford's just got his dukes on that one. And there's the push there.
Enough, quite a spectacular mark from Ricky Walford. Now Barnhill spinning as he got to the line. Up into the front row, looks like he's there to stay for this season. I don't think we're going to see Gordon Tallis or the likes of Jason Stevens for some time in a St George jumper, if in fact they played all this season. There's now Quinn out of dummy half. He's lost the ball, or was it a pass? Picked up and juggled by Goulet. Didn't touch the ground. Now Hardy working the ball centre field and was able to improve the position some 10 metres. Out of dummy half goes Mundine. He wrong-foots Nakau with about half a dozen steps. And St George now inside Cronulla territory, and Ryan has conceded a penalty for the Sharks.
As the replacement Colin Ward goes on for Troy Stone. Colin Ward, of course, has been to a couple of clubs. Been to East and also the Gold Coast. Here's the penalty. I didn't think there was too much in that.
But what it has done is give St George their best chance of the match. Starting a set of 6 from 30 metres out from the Cronulla line. And it's that replacement player, Colin Ward. Fair hair tackle just outside the 20. Hardy switches it to the blind with Thompson. A little jink from him. Greenhill comes across and rounds him up just short of the 10. St George close to the desperate stage for points as Custo across to Mundine. Lovely inside ball to Bartram. Smart play from the Dragons. Almost coming off for them. Custo out of dummy half, goes straight for the line, Ben Custo. They just opened up for the little bloke. Right on the Sharks line here at Shark Park. Ward away this time for Bartram. Then Mundine tries to step Fisher. Rifled a pass back to Goulet, who couldn't get the ball. And it will be a knock on both ways, one would think. So it will be a Sharks feed right in front of their own sticks.
And a promising few plays there that came to nothing. Too slow the hands of St George there on that occasion. Standing and passing. You just got to, as soon as you get it, get rid of the football if the space is on out wide. So Cronulla off the hook.
The blocker a little better from the Dragons, although those mistakes still causing them problems.
Yeah, that's their problem. They can't complete, as you've already said. But interesting to see David Waite using Wayne Bartram as a running player. He hasn't been to dummy half. He's the only player that's made a couple of breaks for the Dragons.
Bill Lockie is a former back row, lock forward or second row who had some success in that role with the Gold Coast. And Jeff Hardy is a man who's played mainly dummy half for St George tonight.
We're in a cow inside the Dragons half. What a season Wayne Bartram had with Queensland. And then, of course, in the green and gold, it's Healy with his kick. I have to remind the bloke beside me about Origin last year as Quinn getting this one on his own goal line. And some nice work, too, from Donnelly to get back and support his fullback. And they kept the ball alive now. The Dragons, it was Quinn on the wraparound and heavy defence to finish it off, but it was good play from St George. Innovative stuff from their own line without too much risk. Often playing it on the 20 for Custo. Bartram again, one off the ruck. And that was a lovely tackle from Paul Donaghy. They're containing the St George forwards. Well, they went high on Ward. It was Denny Lee. Went up round the shoulders. Nathan Long now on the field also for the Sharks as Hardy to the blind side. And then that pass from Coyne has eluded Ricky Walford. I think it was forward in any case. Take your pick.
Oh, there's another mistake. David Wade, he'll be fretting. He can't wait till half-time to get to his boys. Tell them to stop playing panic football. That's all it is from St George. They try to offload in really silly situations.
8-4 the error count in favour of the Dragons. It gets a little worse, and thankfully it hasn't converted into points of late for Cronulla as it did early on. That's from a St George point of view as Tawira Nakau. Now for Gavin Jones, first time in the Optus Cup we're seeing him in a Sharks jumper. Former North Sydney Bear, now Paul Green. Dummied there to Greenhill, taken in the tackle of Bartram. Over the top was Mark Coyne. Gavin Jones on for Les Davidson as now Nathan Long. One of the most recognisable players in the league. If not by face, certainly from behind. Peroxide blonde locks is now Green. Lovely ball to Nakau. He was taken out of the play after he passed. It almost came up with a 4-pointer for the Sharks. They ended a quick play the ball. It was a little slow coming. Fisher behind the line, picked up by Quinn and then over the sideline. Well, they'll settle for that result, the Sharks.
Next best thing to a try there. They'll get possession back from the scrum. He's having a big game, E.T. Fisher's having a great game as well. Looked like a little knock on anyway. And E.T. sized up the situation and drove him into touch.
The pressure doesn't stop for St George. And this is Eddinghausen. Left the pass to late. It came to Green. Fraction earlier. Something might have eventuated. Green plays it forward, taken by Quinn, and referee Jeffs rules the way of St George. And I've got to say I agree with him at first impression.
Yes, I do as well. They were at 6s and 7s, both players, but I did think he was marked by the time he went to play the ball forward. Here it is here. Now does Quinn mark him up? Well, he wasn't standing front on when he played the ball forward, and I can see down on the bench, St George bench, Noel Goldthorpe has been warming up, along with Mark Bell.
This is Colin Ward from the restart, and a good offload to Hardy. Ward ended up back a good 5 metres from where he unloaded. Here's Barnhill, taken in the tackle that time of Healy. Mundine, goose step from Anthony Mundine. Steps away from Long, then away from another. And was able to offload as well, which was a good bit of work. St George 35 metres out from the Cronulla line. Saturday night football in the Optus Cup. And St George behind by 10 points to 0. This is Thompson. Weather has held. It was looking a little ominous early. And crowd, I guess now, of around 13 or 14,000 as Mundine threw the pass behind the back eventually of Chris Quinn, and the Sharks with a quick turnover. And up with it was Alan Bateman. There's Noel Goldthorpe in 42. And Long takes on the defence. Down to blocker on the sideline.
Bad luck for the St George 5'8", Scott Murray. Got bad concussion. He won't be back.
So Anthony Mundine at 5'8" for the night. We might yet have Goldthorpe and Mundine reunited in this match. Fisher. Taken in the tackle just short of halfway. Mundine-Goldthorpe combination was 1,000 to 1. Just a few weeks ago, that ball has bounced away from Walford into touch. So, Saturday night football. Cronulla on top here at Shark Park, 10 points to 0.
What would you do
I'm trying to save a child's life.
if your son was abducted?
They don't pay the boy.
It's the case that stunned America.
It was a near fatal.
If you're enjoying the match at the 27-minute mark, 2 tries to 0, both 4-pointers coming off bombs, and perfectly placed ones at that. And this is Chris Quinn. It's a little cruel, but he certainly played a part in both Cronulla tries. St George on their own 20. Custo in a dummy half. And Ward taken over the top by Donaghy. Well, that's 2 offloads for Colin Ward now as Coyne caught centre field with Mundine. A little aimless, the St George attack, I have to admit, at this stage. Now they've got something going on that left side of the field. It just ended up out wide. It wasn't the original intention at the play the ball as Hardy He finds a man inside. Barnhill, and again the defence is opened up. He steps round the cow, then for Mundine. And Mundine tackled on the 40. Wants a quick play the ball. He gets it for Hardy. Now the ball with a fullback. Quinn away from Long. Great ball then to Mundine. Then back for Bartram. Bartram for the line. That's a great St George try. Wayne Bartram has scored and the Dragons are right back in it. 10 points to 4. Cronulla lead the Dragons.
Yeah, great try. It's been coming. They've been playing all right, as I said before. When they've had the football and they've controlled it, they've been playing some good football. An inside ball there from Barnhill. There's a huge gap. Nikau hadn't come up on the line. And Mundine, the man who plays the football, instrumental in this try. Look at the Cronulla offence. It's all over the place. Chris Quinn finds the gap. Mundine, the player of the football, backs up. And Bartram, look at the pace he's got. This is a great run by Bartram. Great determination. He beat 3 of them.
I was snapping at his heels all the way to the line. I like to play the ball of Mundine. He never hit the deck. He stayed on his knees and got to his feet quickly.
And kept thinking, Andrew, as he looks just to back up there, and they came from everywhere. St George, Cronulla, look, is 2 or 3 had a go at him.
And Wayne Bartram, you don't reckon he liked that one? His teammates loved it. Well, it seems the area they're making the breaks are right up the centre at the moment. The Dragons working away. Now a chance to turn that 4 points into 6. It's the try scorer who has that opportunity, Wayne Bartram. It's a goal kicker, 68%. He'd like to improve on that this season. He'd like him from this position all year long. 10 metres out, right in front of the Black Dog. So this for 10-6. That is how it stands here at Shark Park. So, Saturday night football. Cronulla 10. They lead the St George Dragons 6. And for the first time in the match, Cronulla find themselves having to regroup. Just their defence, they need to get into order. See what they can do in this set of 6. Mitch Healy with a kick-off then to get us back underway. At 10 points to 6. And all the way back to Chris Quinn. Well, here's Lance Thompson blocker. That certainly should boost the confidence of the Dragons.
Yes, it should. Good coaching from Johnny Lang, but Les Davidson warming up on the sideline to come on and tighten up that middle. That's where that try was scored.
Unlimited interchange, of course, in 96, using 4 players. Penalty there against Nathan Long. It's Troy Stone on screen, getting ready for his second entry into the match.
Everything's starting to go St George's way now. They're starting to control the football a little bit better. They needed to score before half-time. That'll give them a lot more heart.
This is Colin Ward, who's, I have to say, has had a bit of an impact since he's come on. A couple of offloads too. Custo, line ball to Barnhill. In fact, I'll say I thought it was forward. It's play on for St George. Hardy at dummy half. They're 45 metres out from the Sharks line. Mundine, he's looked sharp. Bartram, tackle. 35 metres now out from the Cronulla line. Hardy. And they're doing things now at pace as Custo. They're good quick play the balls. Custo taken just short of the 20. Cronulla now with a few problems as Ward got a pass there from Mundine. Kept it alive again for Goulet. He tries to step offloaded. Hardy wasn't knocked down. Back to Goulet. Right in the centre of the park. Now Custo, he kicks for the corner. He has to let the chasers know that's the only problem. Cronulla back for it with Samet. Taken in the tackle of Walford. They get the line dropout out of it, but I don't think there was any chance of a 4-pointer, but they'll certainly settle for the line dropout.
Oh, what a nice kick by Custo. He's showing everyone in the game he's got a bit of skill. The St George players were standing and passing. No one wanted to go forward. And that's a great little kick by him, and now they get the ball back and coming up to half-time, put some pressure on this Cronulla line.
You reckon Ben Custo, if he had just a little glance over his shoulder, just seeing Goldthorpe on the sideline, it'd be easy for the young fella out there on debut. He's got to go, get on with the job, basically, and that's what he's doing, is Goulet. Now taking on the defence more, 30 metres out from the Sharks line. This is Troy Stone. So back, I guess he was on the bench for 5 or 6 minutes. It's a second wind, and now Ward through the line of Denny Lee and was able to offload to Hardy. And there's a quick old pass out of dummy half. Across it came for Mundine. He's got Thompson on his outside. Inside for Bartram. Looking for a second try. Jeffs has called the pass forward.
Oh, bad luck. They're starting to hit their straps now with more possession. The inside balls are working for them. Cronulla's offence is not really moving up and covering the inside pass. There's another little gap there. Bartram, hasn't he got some pace early in the season? And this pass here.
Backwards from Paul Green. And Dykes on the field, another one of the young players in the Sharks squad. Still a teenager, Adam Dykes. Surprised that he's come on for Paul Fisher. He's been one of the Sharks' best. This is Ryan running an angle and taken in the tackle by Lance Thompson, who's leading the tackle count for the St George Dragons with 15. They need another tackle right now as Barnett back for Ryan. Good play, initiated by Adam Dykes. He's there at dummy half now. Away for Green, across for Healy, now for Davidson. Davidson can't get through the tackle of Mundine, slips a wonderful pass back. Now with Ben Samet over the 20, he finds top gear quickly. Almost through the tackle of Quinn, then back for Dykes. Now for the corner. The Sharks have another try. Alan Bateman scores it. The Welshman at the end of the Cronulla back line.
That's an amazing try by the Sharks because it looked like it was dead on a couple of occasions. They're running hard. They're running with a lot of purpose tonight. Once again, what a beautiful ball by Les Davidson. That's a good line by St George. But when Davidson sort of gets half through it, and these one-handers come up, and away goes Samet, a lot of pace by him. Chris Quinn, they should have controlled him there. They didn't put him on the deck. And then look at Alan Bateman. First time he's touched the football, I reckon, and gets the try. This great ball by Davidson. Isn't he in a big game tonight for the Sharks? Samet, he's got the speed. Here's the poor attempt at tackle. Should have banged him on the ground there. So, sort of say, a try against the run of play. Although Cronulla had the better of the first 20 minutes, Saints have come good.
Just on Alan Bateman. You read through the profile for 1996. His dislike is being called a pommy. He is a Welshman. And linking up with Cronulla mid-season last year. He's in his 30s. He's not a young man, Alan Bateman. It's David Waite on screen, the St George coach.
Yeah, it's the bloke in the red and white shirt, not the one behind him.
Yes. So Healy, a tough kick. He's taken it back all of 26, 27 metres. And right from the sideline. Sharks up by 14 points to 6. And the Dragons have fought their way back into it. There's plenty of contact from Healy, but just wide. So Cronulla 14, leading St George 6. Shark Park, well worth having a look at this pass again of Davidson. It's just an 11 out of 10 ball, that one.
It's just an absolute gem. Any footballer who's ever played the game would be proud of that one. And the strength shown by Samet also instrumental in Cronulla getting the 4 point.
To halfway then for the Dragons. Certainly, well, there's a little change last-minute plan for Custo. Almost comes off for the Dragons as charging through was Brad Smith. It's certainly going to pay off possibly for the Sharks with Donaghy.
Yeah, that worked.
That was a disaster.
They'll get the ball, St George. This is a short kick-off gone horribly wrong. They've tried something different. You can't argue with that. But no cover defence. And Donaghy looked like he was going to streak away and score a try. The desperation defence came from Bartram and Walford, and the ball goes loose. They've won it against the feed.
Favours Cronulla at the moment. It was close to a fatal tragedy for the Dragons, that kickoff. Just wondered what they were doing from halfway. They were stuttering their way up to the ball, and then Custo put boot to him. The Sharks on the attack yet again. If they get to the last tackle, the bomb will go off. It'll go up at least. Hope it doesn't go off, we're all in trouble. As the Sharks, that went forward surely. Jeff Bell. Jeff's rules that way, he gets the boos from the crowd.
It's the pass from Paul Green that this one here, he's got his back turned. And his rule, it's gone forward. Hard to tell from here.
If it was pass backwards, then bounce forward, it is play on. I guess that was the point to be contested there on that ruling, as Mundine now with it. Cross he goes, picks up Smith, or rather Quinn it was, back for Mundine. Oh, it's been knocked down the left hand of Donnelly. I mean, he was under enormous pressure to take the ball. It was a no-result play for the winger Jason Donnelly, and St George just their own worst enemies. And close to half-time as well.
And pressure passes. There's another one. Should never have been thrown. Knocked forward by Donnelly. So Cronulla, one last shot to increase their lead before half-time.
Inside that final minute, here's Green. Another awkward pass from the scrum base. Healy, then Eddinghausen. Lovely tackle, Chris Quinn. Stops play 19 metres out from the line. Still it's on for the Sharks. Ben Samet. What a game this bloke's having. Ben Samet almost wrestling his way over the line. Put down by Smith. Now the pass is away from Dykes to Healy. They almost opened up. Goulet comes across to cut him down. Played forward by Healy. Burrows for the try line. He's held up over the line. So back will come for a scrum. But time almost out for the Sharks in this first half.
Yeah, nice try for a try there by Healy. So we'll see one more. Well, Saints taking their time getting the scrum. There's a couple have gone down. Goulet stalling. I think he'll pack it anyway.
Well, they're flirting with a real St George. They only went in with a 5-man scrum then, with Goulet down on one knee. He made a poor attempt to get to the scrum, but Donaghy has made them pay for it in any case. If they dropped it short of the line, referee Jeffs says yes.
Oh, that's bad luck for Cronulla. Looked like another try. As Donaghy, what a strong first half he's had. And that ball couldn't control it. Bad luck for Sharks, but a good lead for them anyway at half-time.
So half-time, 3 tries to 1. A couple from bombs really shocked the St George Dragons. And almost a standing ovation from the Sharks fans. At half-time, Cronulla Sutherland, 14, leads St George 6. And we'll take a break and come back with more right after this.
Let's go, let's go.
Congratulations to the Sharks, the way this ground is looking for the start of the Optus Cup. Let's have a look at some of those first half stats. Fatty?
And if we look at a couple of these, you can see the amount of possession that Cronulla have had. And look at the help of 6 tackles there. 10 times a good kicking game by Cronulla, which has got them most of their points, and only twice for St George. That multiplies into the missed tackles. St George missing 15 tackles, and the handling errors there. That's just a real nightmare for St George, and it's a wonder that they're only down 14 points to 6. As you have a look at the work rates by both sets of forwards, it's been a good hard game out there tonight. Plenty of good hit-ups and a couple of bone-jarring tackles. Denny Lee, as usual, leading the tackles for Cronulla. Les Davidson, look at the hit-ups, and all quality stuff from him as well. Plenty of offloads. And for St George, interesting stat down the bottom there, Colin Ward, he's had a pretty good game since he's come on and offloaded as well.
We're ready then for the second half. Jess blows time on, and Bartram is who drives it deep. And Cronulla from their own 10-metre line, and Sean Ryan taking front on in the tackle of Brad Smith. Talk of those hit-ups from Les Davidson, one offload, and I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say I don't think you'll see a better pass all year. And the forward offloading just centimetres from the ground, Les Davidson, that set up or led to the Cronulla third try. It's Tawira Nakau now, taking 25 metres out from his own line. Now it's Davidson. Steve Roach has been to both rooms at half-time. What have you learnt there, Blocker?
Yeah, well, Johnny Lang very happy with the start of his side, considering they haven't played for a long time. He thought they fell away in the second part of the first half. He wanted his team to be a bit more patient, and the points will come. He wants them to up the tempo early in the second half. For St George, David Waite, he just thought his team didn't make them first-up tackles. They'll let them get them too much yardage. Their markers weren't working well enough. They must compete for the high ball when it does go up, and you've got to complete your 6 to 6. He said it started coming together well in that second part, but he wants more from his experienced players, namely Goulet.
Sets of 6 must be completed. The St George Dragons have had plenty of problems in that area. Wayne Bartram, Hardy, and now with Thompson.
And there's an opportunity there for, you know, an offload. Thompson, he's had a pretty good game, looking for support. No one there. They're running one out. Troy Stone, that just flicks him over the back. That's ridiculous.
On the last tackle, I know it's turnover if he gets held in possession, but that could have just resulted in a Cronulla try. That's putting his teammates under the biggest amount of pressure they've been under in this match, and they've been under plenty as Nakau taken in the tackle of Coyne and Thompson. Cronulla is on the attack 5 metres out from the Dragons line, and this is how the first half started. As Davidson, two-man tackle, Ward and Stone, still 5 metres out from the line, but they lead by 14 points to 6 as Green brings Samet again into the action. He's one of the front runners for man of the match so far as Eddinghausen to Green, looks inside, then tries a grubber kick early in the tackle count. No 6 to go. It came off the legs of one of the outside men for St George. This is last tackle now for Cronulla with Healy. This time the grubber kick came off the leg of Colin Ward to Tawira Nakau. No restarting again on the tackle count. What about that for a money ball? Looping pass over the top, and Barnett, a straightforward corridor for the corner. The Sharks try number 4.
Once again, the kicking game of Cronulla has come to the fore. That time a ricochet. Here's the mistake. I mean, it shouldn't have gone to this bloke in the first place. A prop forward in the last tackle, and that was just unbelievable. And then Quinn, instead of diving it, tried to push it back. It's a comedy of errors out there for the Dragons tonight. And here's the second rebound in as many tackles as Mitch Healy puts the grubber in. It comes off Barnhill or Colin Ward, one of those blokes. And the nick out, look at this. It'll be a 3-pointer in basketball, but it's a 4-pointer in league. So a great start once again for Cronulla. As Vossi said, that's the same way they started in the first half. Mistakes by St George and too easy for the Sharks.
Miraculous pass from Tawira Nakau. A one-hander has reefed it over the top. Richard Barnett, he can score a try, that bloke too.
Well, it's funny when you do that when you're behind. When you're in front, they pay off. When you're behind, they cost you.
Barnett, representative for New Zealand at the World Cup. And now Mitch Healy. What a solid performer he's been now for a number of years. Much improved player. Been with the Sharks since 1989. 5 metres in from touch. 25 metres out from goal, and this one well off to the left. So a few goal-kicking problems tonight for Mitch Healy. 18 points to 6 the score. Cronulla over the Dragons here at Shark Park, and here's this error again, the pass from Troy Stone.
Troy Stone, and I don't know if it's a coincidence, but 3 minutes into the first half, he's been hooked.
I thought I saw something out of the corner of my eye. There's a big hook coming over the top.
So he'll be having a little rest on the bench.
Again, the point you made, Fatty, what was it doing in the hands of Troy Stone on the last?
Yeah, well, that just goes how they played tonight. No communication, nearly a bust made by one of these impressive back rowers in Sean Ryan.
Steve Roach on the sideline. What's the news on Noel Goldthorpe?
Yes, it's interesting. St George have already used up their 4 replacements, so they won't be able to use Noel Goldthorpe tonight. Very interesting.
Tawira Nakau. Across Lee, the worst possible start to the second half, and well, that picture does tell the story. So despondent, the bench players for St George at the moment, and a good kick from the Sharks inside the 10. In a moment it'll be inside the in-goal area. The chasers there in numbers. There's 4 Sharks in line as it comes to Donnelly, and he's taken by 2 of those defenders. The first man there was Paul Fisher. Eddinghausen also now attacking from their own goal line. Ricky Walford, one of the most experienced players now in the league in terms of seasons he's put away. Ricky Walford, and helping a club in crisis this season. Here he is again, second hit up in this set of 6, taking some of the work off the forwards. But still they're only just outside that 20. Custo. Across there, the Dragons trying to break this Cronulla line. And they really need a big kick on the last. There's pressure here on Custo again. He's a left footer. He's made 30 or 40 metres with a kick and fielded now by Samet. But it's heart attack stuff, isn't it? At the back, you get to the last tackle, and even then I thought they weren't going to get the kick away. As this is Bateman, the try scorers tonight for the Sharks. Taken centre field there. 2-man tackle, Hardy and Ward. The Sharks keeping up this attack with Barnett that time. Fisher at dummy half to the left with Davidson. Who's he going to take on this time? Bartram with a bear hug. That tackle right on the 40. Saints end of the ground, but St George the team that needs to score next, or otherwise this match is probably out of reach. There's Healy, two-man tackle. Over the top came Mundine. In back play, Richard Barnett receiving attention for the Sharks. Back on halfway, you can see him there. Top left of screen as that kick over the top. Is that one too deep? One bounce and two bounces over the sideline. Nowhere near too deep. And Barnett back to his feet, but still in some troubles for the Sharks. And in fact, looks like he'll be coming from the field.
It always looks pretty bad when that jumper covers up the arm. Pain on his face. The man warming up to come on is Jeff Bell, a very good player in his own right. There's the hit by Barnett. And his arm hits the ground.
In the meantime, St George have won this scrum, and Donnelly, he's a strong, athletic winger on this St George side. The penalty goes the way of the Dragons. Saying that they were held down in the tackle. Jeff's having none of it. Let's watch it.
Well, in actual fact, Donnelly did very well there. He got a penalty for nothing by holding on. The Saints need to have a good set here because I think David Waite would like to see Mark Coyne get more involved. You know, it's times like this where you need a good, strong leader. Mark Coyne is that. He needs to come in and take some pressure off his boards, maybe take a hit up and get behind them, start talking.
Ward was punished in that tackle as Davidson came spinning out of it, trying to get to his feet. And St George just short of halfway. Lee and Ryan making the tackle that time. And Smith it was, as now Mundine, little dummy, and elects not to pass as he was under a two-man tackle. Healy may have been stung in that tackle there. Now Stone back on the field. It's almost as if he came off in the lead up to that try. David Waite said, if you ever do that again, you'll never get picked in first grade. Then send him back out there. And Samet at the back. Now to Bateman. Bateman over the 20 for Cronulla, and a nice chase on that kick. There was 5 or 6 in line to meet him. But it's points the Dragons need right at the moment. It's hard to do without the ball in your hands as Bell gets his first touch, Jeff Bell, and it was a nice incision into the St George defensive line. Now Fisher likewise. In 2 plays, they've made 30 metres. Nothing too fancy about it, but very effective. And Sean Ryan bowled upright when he hit the defensive line that time. Mundine had to go high. Down below was Brad Smith, player who hails from Corindai. This is Les Davidson. 35 metres out. This has been a very, very impressive set of 6 from Cronulla. The high ball, it's been a while since they've tried one. This one is deep for Quinn. He gets to it on the full and takes it well. Back to the 20, diffuses that one.
Yeah, confidence booster for Quinn there. Referee Jeff's putting Troy Stone into the blood bin.
Troy Stone it is to the blood bin. David Barnhill is the player coming on, so Stone will be getting giddy coming back and forth from the field. Barnhill into the action. Play will restart with a tap from the 20. Barnhill, one of those players that you were talking about. Mark Coyne is another one that has to lead from the front, one of the more experienced members in this Dragons lineup. Here's Ricky Walford. Tried a little rush down that blind side. Tawira and Akau having none of it. The Dragons just over their own 30. And Thompson, a step off the left, and over the top came Les Davidson, put an end to that. There's Ward filling the dummy half duties that time. Mundine, long ball for Hardy, then a forward pass to Barnhill. I think you can tell from the crowd reaction, they thought it was forward. Here's Hardy over halfway. And Jeffs with the arm raised now for the 5th tackle. Bartram for Custo. And they're going to run it with Ward. Now for Quinn. He straightens up. Tries to get through the tackle of Davidson. On the outside with Coyne. The big step back inside. Bell juggles it. Knocks it down. Walford now. He throws it back. And the play ends with Chris Quinn on the 30. And the option of running the ball on the last tackle almost paid off for the Dragons.
Yeah, that's a good one. Good play by St George there. They're behind on the scoreboard. They need to score the points. And that's a really good option to run it. Cronulla were caught short out wide, and they made 30 or 40 metres. Chris Quinn, he's starting to hit his straps, running hard. Here's a chance now for Cronulla as E.T. follows this kick.
Ettinghausen chasing the kick. Quinn doesn't get there. Ettinghausen puts the kick through. Now Jeffs has ruled a penalty back on the 20. He blew the whistle very early. Obviously, one of the St George chasers, that is, pushed off the mark. We'll take a break. Cronulla leading St George 18 points to 6.
Romance. We all want it, but finding that special someone seems to be getting harder.
Eddinghausen. Like to see the top players in full flight, and that's what Eddinghausen was just then, as Barnhill with it. Taken by Healy. And Greenhill, I think it was, over the top. It is. Just short of the 40-metre line, but points imperative now for St George to stay in this game as Quinn inside for Ward. He's coughed it up. Every other time he's unloaded the ball, it's been effective. That time it went the wrong way. And the Sharks with it. Bateman almost back up to halfway. Ward makes the tackle. Still handling errors. The bogeyman for the St George side. And what about that for a hit-up? 20 metres made. The Sharks set for another drive. It was from the centre, Paul Donaghy. Fisher had to juggle from dummy half and then threw a sloppy pass, and just for the moment the momentum was gone with Greenhill. 35 metres out. Sharky the cry now from the fans. I'm sure there's an S on the end of it as Healy was flung to the ground. 35 out, last tackle, the kick over the top from Fisher. His progress was impeded running through. It was legitimate though, and Quinn tackled 10 metres out from his own line. Steve Roach on the sideline.
Yeah, there's just no sting in the St George defence. Fancy letting a winger, Alan Bateman, run into the middle of the ruck like that.
Fancy that happening again for the Dragons. 16 handling errors now, 16 to 7. Tragically, so many of the handling errors have been at this end of the field, inside their own 20. Jason Donnelly in pain after that drop ball, the anguish on his face. And back to the wing. So 12 points at the moment, the difference between the two teams, and Cronulla starting this set of 6 now. A step from Jeff Bell. He almost unloaded. That's off the boot of Andrew Eddinghausen. This is play on for the Sharks. That could well be the try that seals the match. There's a long way to go, but Eddinghausen has scored a double tonight here at Shark Park.
That'll be the one that'll give them the 2 points, no doubt about it. They're playing good football tonight, Cronulla. Once again, it's another try that's come from a kick, or sort of a kick. He's towed the ball through, but a good run by Jeff Bell. The dummy, he took off, looked to offload. He does so, and E.T. couldn't get down to it. It's a miracle little chip, and gets the ball down there. I think they've scored, 5 tries, and all of them have come from kicks. And you deem that a kick. E.T. saw he couldn't get to it, so he put the little left foot on it and grounds it there.
Their favourite son, Andrew Eddinghausen. And the Sharks leader, having plenty to say as well. So they're fired up. But you just have to keep going over that one statistic, handling errors. And St George 15, Cronulla 7. This is Mitch Healy. He wants to improve on that 1 from 4. Almost a wry grin on his face as he lines up. This kick, 10 in from touch, 22 metres out. And Mitch Healy, well, he's had no trouble striking the ball. He just can't get it anywhere near the uprights. So 1 from 5. Cronulla 5 tries, 1 goal, lead by 22 points to 6. And the work of Eddinghausen again, he's been a man, of course, wrapped for his speed, but it's speed between the ears here, not putting a hand to it, just putting the toe to it and chasing it.
Once again, that try came from the St George mistake, with Donnelly knocking on from the play of the ball, and another hook. He's off as well. Been replaced by Damien Smith.
Trying the big tackle, he was brushed off. That's Donnelly on the bench. Also, he seemed to be limping a little after he came up with that drop ball from dummy half. Maybe that was his alibi. Steve Roach on the sideline.
Yes, Richard Barnett, the Cronulla winger, has gone to hospital with a suspected broken collarbone.
Terrible luck for Richard Barnett. There's a high tackle. And a caution coming here. Smith is the player. And the frustration creeps into the St George game. Here it is, Brad Smith, 15 on 10. cops him around the chin.
He actually got him for 10 metres. Thought the tackle was okay. He's got him for being inside the 10. Called him twice. The referee told the player involved.
And Healy, well, he's normally one of the best kickers in the game, and that one, well, he's found touch on the bounce. It wasn't what he intended, but it's ended up a 40-metre gain for the Sharks, and, well, St George know this territory well as Green fires that pass for Healy, spiralling one, then Eddinghausen, they open up again, out to the corner, and a try goes begging for Paul Donaghy.
Oh, bad luck for Donaghy. It's been one of Cronulla's best tonight. It looked like try time for him. He was getting a share of the spoils. A nice move by the Cronulla backline, some good hands. That pass there right into his guts, and he dropped it.
I say the Dragons' defence just wasn't a weight to it from that. It's almost as if they weren't ready. And the Sharks just really fired that ball out with great precision. And Warford from that scrum, 15 metres out from his own line. 22 points to 6. The Sharks over the Dragons. Local derby. Round 2 of the Optus Cup. And now Hardy. Some heavy work over the top from Craig Greenhill. Mundine with that pass away for young Smith and picked up by Davidson. Long over the top and flung awkwardly to the ground that time, Smith. He was straight to his feet, though. Now Custo away for Thompson. There's some young forwards out there. Custo then for Barnhill. Tries to stand in the tackle of Healy. And St George 2 metres on that play. Custo, they have another go now. Throws a high pass for Mundine. Had to jump in the air to take it. And a 3-man tackle, and St George is going nowhere. There doesn't appear to be a light at the end of the tunnel for them at the moment as Custo, there's the left footer. This one over the head of Ben Samet. It's a bad kick from Custo. Let's look for the chase. It's coming now. Samet runs away from his winger, takes the tackle of Damien Smith.
Custo looks like he's a nice young player. He's got a good future ahead of him, but I know it's his debut game in the top grade for St George, but he hasn't run the ball as yet. And he's just been content to pass the ball. And in your team, you've got to have a halfback who's prepared to take the opposing line on. And this is one thing that has really brought St George back to the field tonight.
I saw that from Troy Pezzett last night for the South Queensland Crushers. Well, here's another caution going to come for a high tackle here on Nathan Long. And is it Lance Thompson who's going to get called out? Here it is. Pretty much in it with Thompson.
Nothing in that. I like this Thompson. I might get Blocker's opinion. I think he's a real good player. He's only a youngster, but he runs hard and he's prepared to back up, get involved in all the hard work that's going on from Blocker. He's a good one.
Yeah, that's probably been the good thing tonight from him. He's been St George's best forward. You'd expect a few of their more senior players to lead the way, but he's been their best tonight, and he's really rolled his sleeves up.
From Australian schoolboy. Interesting when you look across the ranks of St George, you've got players like Jeff Hardy. He was an Australian schoolboy back in 1983. Some 13 years later, or 12 years later, Lance Thompson did the same. And they're side by side in first grade for the St George Dragons. Well, this second half has luckily been all inside St George territory. Long slipped a pass. That's not his go normally, Nathan Long, offloading. And it's resulted in an error, although Fisher was saying it came off his legs. He might be right.
Yeah, he's not noted for his ball skills, Long. After that, you can see why, but he's been running pretty strong and hard. Now Custo has a little run.
Made himself an easy target, though, crossfield, as Bell went from dummy half. 25 out from their own line, down by 22 points to 6. Penalty goes the way of St George. With the players around the ruck. Coyne having a bit to say too behind the line for St George. And a quick tap as we look at the replay. There it is, just in the way, Ben Samet. Coyne was pushed out of the way, bowled over almost by Les Davidson. That quick tap has now got St George just inside Cronulla's territory, and that is a great tackle from Jeff Bell. As the Dragons push it along now with Custo. He straightened, thought about running, then offloaded for Brad Smith. And he's 5 metres inside the Sharks half. And Hardy now for Barnhill. A step and a spin, and Nakau makes the tackle. So we're Nakau getting through some defensive work as well. 16 for the night. Up there with the leading defenders for the Sharks as Mundine stepped through that tackle. 25 metres out from the Cronulla line. Last tackle and their best chance of the half. Custo. The call has come from wide. It's fired out to Mark Bell. He tries the grubber kick behind the line. Smith chasing. Bateman gets there first and forced it in goal. Line dropout. Saturday night football, 61st minute. The Sharks 22, St George 6.
Find your special someone today and don't...
Time has been called off by Kelvin Jeffs. That scoreline 22 points to 6. 5 tries to 1. This Cronulla side in no hurry with the restart. Clock has restarted. And now the kick comes away from Healy. And it's a good one. 45 on the fly, then a bounce for 10. And here comes Damien Smith. He hasn't had too many chances with the ball in his hands, Damien Smith, tonight. He's played just a couple of first-grade matches as Colin Ward went for a little blindside surge for another 5 or 6 metres. Hardy now. This is Brad Smith. No relation to Damien. Tackle just outside the Cronulla 20. So maybe not quite out of it as Mundine. Cut out ball, skipping out Thompson. Picked up Bartram out wide. And that tackle affected by Jeff Bell, and Bartram is hurt. Got him around the waist, but it's the leg injury that's troubling him as Thompson. They leave Bartram behind, and Thompson has tackled 15 out from the line in 5 tackles. This is where St George find themselves. Mundine, his kick has gone backwards. Well, what do you do here? Well, a foot on the line. That was Smith, ruled by the touch judge. It's a changeover on the last. And that's a very disappointing kick on the last from Mundine, and sort of the way the night has gone for him.
No, everything that can possibly go wrong has gone wrong for St George tonight. They haven't played that badly when they've had the football, when they've controlled it, but apart from that, it's been nothing. And now Gavin Jones, Cronulla catching the disease. It's their hands letting them down. Bartram, a cork leg as he leaves the field.
When Bartram from the ground, the crowd tonight, people surprised by the figure. I thought it was over the 10,000 mark. 9,722. Interesting, the corresponding match last year here was the biggest crowd the Sharks had all year. It was almost 17,000. So those supporters haven't come back here. For Cronulla's first match of the year. And now the Dragons with a chance. Hardy on to Troy Stone. Where's the try going to come from? You made the point earlier, Fatty, that it's Mark Coyne who has to lead from the front. Well, he might be the man they're looking for right now as Custo turned the ball inside. Mundine from a flat-footed start, then had to shuffle the ball back, shovel it back for Chris Quinn. 10 metres out from the line. He's kicking. He's trying to get to his feet. Now he's there. He plays it forward. Almost lost it. Quinn throws a short ball for Ward. Ward throws the overhead ball now for Smith. They basically just run out of space on that left side. This is the last tackle for St George. Hardy's calling for it, one off the ruck. It misses out him. It ends up with Mundine, and he gets up a better bomb this time. This is putting pressure on the Sharks. The chasers are there, and have they come down with it? No. And that will be back to the 20 for the Cronulla Sharks.
A very good-looking kick there by St George. Bit of drama in the in-goal area. And a good chase, too, on Mark Coyne and Ricky Walford. They're equal to the task, Cronulla.
Sharks back with the ball is Gavin Jones. To make up for that earlier error that he had when he hadn't long come back onto the field. Now Nathan Long, tackled by Chris Quinn. The Sharks, I guess they'd settle for 22-6, but there's certainly time for more points. A little under 15 minutes remaining. Dykes away to Greenhill, and Greenhill's done that all night. It's rarely been that he's made less than 10 metres with his hit-ups. And again, a few times tonight, there's been some untidy passes out of dummy half. And put down by Custo at fullback from a high ball. Well, a change in fullback, and Custo, well, there's a few things in his debut he'd like to forget.
Well, the nightmare continues for St George. That was nearly a knock-on. Mitch Healy.
I think it was.
Yeah, it was. But he's a great kicker of the football. He does a lot of practice. And it's paid dividends. Johnny Lang there. They're a very contented coach at this stage, leading 22 points to 6, and they've played some good footy.
Cronulla win the scrum, holding it up for Eddinghausen, who runs for the corner, then for Bateman. Bateman right, loses the ball on the corner post. St George back with it, and Custo turns defence into attack as best he can. And back to 5 minutes out from the line. Nice scrum-based play work. Green just holding the play up, and Eddinghausen, as quick as anyone out there, had moved around to the blind side of the scrum. 16 points the difference, and Troy Stone back to the 20. I guess the only thing St George can do out of tonight, they can certainly take heart in that it's their own errors that have opened up so many chances for Cronulla tonight. Those handling errors are around about even. The Saints could be right in the match as Thompson shows what pace he's got. Floated the pass over the top. Mundine turned it inside forward to Barnhill. Can you believe it?
Oh, that's unbelievable. David Waite. He had a year off from the coaching after coaching Newcastle for a few years. Look at this kid go, Thompson. That's a great right foot step. And Waite might be saying to himself, what am I doing this to myself for? But it's just one of those nights.
I don't think he's on the... I don't think he's ringing phone tap.
Doesn't look too happy.
That look said it all. Now, there's been a touch judge's report on this as the play went downfield, and the way it's headed, it's a St George penalty. Well, so one of the support players held back.
One of the players held back when Thompson made that break. So a bit of luck going their way.
Look, we make the point again just on the referee. We had a nice close-up there. It's a lovely shirt, but when the team's wearing predominantly white, surely they could have stuck to the aqua. 22 points to 6 then. Cronulla over the St George Dragons, and Stone continues his charge, and he barged his way through a couple of would-be defenders that time, almost all the way up to the 20. Hardy heard a call from behind. That was Barnhill, and Barnhill does likewise as far as the two front rowers are concerned. 15 metres out from the line. This is Hardy for Custo. Custo for Thompson. Thompson stands in the tackle as he lost it. No, able to control the football as he hit the deck. Playing it right in front of the Cronulla post. Hardy out of dummy half. Now Stone. And Stone held up in the tackle, still 10 out from the line. There's calls coming from the left side for St George. They want it there. Custo fires it out for Mundine. Thought about the short pass. It's Ward. Just sends him over for the try. Lovely pass from Mundine for Colin Ward.
Yeah, good try to St George. Colin Ward gets over. It was a beautiful pass. Nicely held up. As we watch the ball come out, it's a good ball. It's Custo with the football. Now on the Mundine, watch him hold up as we freeze it there. You can see this player here is committed to this man. There's a gap there, and Mushko, watch him go through. That's a great try as the play goes on. Fantastic stuff to the... That's good fun, that thing. Sterlo's had all the fun for the last 3 years. Oh, there'll be plenty more of that from the fat man.
You're going to draw a face or something. He was full of ink on the way to the try line, the way you mapped out his course. Good try, Colin Ward. You were saying before the game that you thought he might have some impression. Well, he's certainly done that tonight.
When I was finishing up at East the last couple of years, he was a young kid coming through, and all he needed, I felt, was some good coaching. And he sort of improved up at the Gold Coast, but they released him. And he's had a very good game tonight for St George.
Well, here's this Blake Thompson. He can do a number of things out on the football field. He's topped the tackle count tonight. He's been impressive with his hit-ups, and now he'll take the shot at goal as well. Just 18 years of age, this bloke, Lance Thompson. And there's plenty of wraps on him, and I think on tonight's showing you can see why. From just outside the 20, he's missed with a kick. He couldn't have done any more with a build-up. 22 points to 10. The Sharks lead the Dragons here at Shark Park. So 10 minutes remaining, a 12-point ball game. They can strike back in the next set of 6. We could have a grandstand finish. Is that hoping for too much? St George here tonight on Cronulla soil. So restart from the Cronulla Sharks. Mitch Healy. He's a wonderful kicker of the football. There's Barnhill. Tall figure comes back, and Sean Ryan fell off the tackle. I thought for a moment he was in a bit of trouble there. Steve Roach.
Yeah, probably a little bit of a worry for Johnny Lang. This is the same time in the first half they went to sleep a bit, the Sharkies. You could probably put that down to having been able to play for 5 weeks.
The choice to play last week. Here's Thompson from Chris Quinn. Nice short pass to that man Ward, and Eddinghausen said, I'm having none of this, and gets him to ground. 35 metres out from the Dragons line. Bell to Custo. Custo across to Troy Stone. Look, there's no shortage in willingness from Troy Stone to take the ball up for this Dragons outfit. 12 hit-ups for him, 12 to David Barnhill, the leading 2 of the St George forwards. That kick on the bounce to Ben Semmett. A little quiet in the second half. He's copped up the ball there, Ben Semmett. He may have been knocked cold in the tackle. He hasn't moved, Ben Semmett. St George now have lost it. Well, that tackle from Paul Donaghy to finish that off. But the concern right now is with that man on screen, Ben Semmett.
Oh, yeah, big tackle. I think it was David Barnhill made the tackle. Semmett's just starting to move now. He's in Gagas. But once again, St George had an opportunity and couldn't finish it off. Left foot step. Strong hit. Thompson and Barnhill looked okay. And then these St George players out wide. Although Thompson was a little bit around the neck there.
The forearm of Thompson, and
they're calling for the stretcher, so a bit of concern.
Well, I think he's got a double. I think that Barnhill might have been there just an instant before Thompson. The right forearm of Barnhill, the left of Thompson. He was falling into the tackle, though, as well. So it was too late for the players to change their target area, if you like.
Yeah, it might have just been a good, strong, hard tackle as well. But when the ball went out wide, the St George players completely overran it, and it's all gone wrong for them again.
As big as that tackle was, it was the same from Paul Donaghy, the one that forced the error from St George. Semmett again.
To double crunch. Barnhill looked, the arm was high.
Well, he's gone before he hits the ground, Ben Semmett.
And then from here, Ricky Walford overran the ball, and that's why Mark Coyne couldn't turn his body to throw the ball backwards.
So John Lang concerned at one of his young troops there. Ben Semmett, a player who hasn't had a lot of luck in his career. 1994, a knee reconstruction that kept him out for the year. It happened in the first game. It was here at Shark Park, or Caltex Field it was, as it was known, in a match against Canberra. Started the year in first grade and did his knee. Let's hope he's in the best of hands right now, Ben Semmett. But he will have a headache, probably for a couple of days to come. So Ben Semmett it is who leaves the ground on the stretcher.
He had a fine game too, Andrew. He played very well, especially the first half. A little quieter the second half, but a very good game by Ben Semmett tonight.
He's not a big player, but he put in such a strong effort in the first half in the lead up to the Alan Bateman try. He shrugged his way through 3 defenders. So that is Ben Semmett off with the trainers, and play back underway with a scrum 25 out from the Cronulla line and Paul Green. As Cronulla duly won the scrum and David Barnhill made the tackle. 22 points to 10 inside the final 8 now. Shark Park crowd of under 10,000, which I think is disappointing for the Sharks officials. They're hoping to at least match that crowd of last year, and there's a good incision from Adam Dykes. 45 metres out from the St George line. And the play the ball Green is caught there, the marker having none of it, the dummy. Mark Coyne was all over Paul Green in that tackle. Nice quick inside pass from Gavin Jones. Advancing the football then was Paul Fisher. And play centred around that 40-metre line right now. Here's Nathan Long. He makes 5 metres, not looking to pass that time. Last tackle now for the Sharks. Left and right of the ruck, who wants a penalty on the last tackle, 30 out right in front of the sticks. Or will they have that shot at goal?
Will be interesting. Footy Tab doing the score on tonight's game, and if you had 24-10, you'd be hoping they kick for goal.
Good decision this one. Healy deciding to go for the shot. Look, he's only kicked 1 out of 5 tonight, so should have no trouble getting the distance. Here's the penalty as Long did the hit up.
He runs hard, Nathan Long, and hasn't got much agility in his running style. That's the only thing about him. It might come in the years as we go on, but he's a gutsy player, let me tell you. He's got a big heart.
A local junior too, Nathan Long from Carring Bar, not far from the ground here at Shark Park, and you just couldn't miss him, could you? So Mitch Healy then from right in front, 33 metres out. He's made good contact with it. It's getting away, but it's there. So Mitch Healy puts Cronulla another 2 points in front, and the Sharks lead the Dragons by 24 points to 10. I reckon the fans here would settle for that scoreline right now.
Especially one fan in the box sitting next to me.
Got a new dress for my wife. That's all. So it's young Ben Custo from halfway. I know I don't want to be hard on Ben Custo, but has he done enough to keep in first grade? If you had Noel Goldthorpe, Fatty, in your reserve grade side, one game back, even allowing for the way things have panned out over the past 3 or 4 weeks, would you have him straight back in first grade? Well,
obviously I'm not the coach or a selector at St George. Ben Custo has had a fair game in his debut. You've got to take into account all of that. He's only a kid. He'll learn from tonight's game. He's gone all right, but Noel Goldthorpe, in saying that, is a very classy halfback.
Also keep in mind Custo's form in the trials. I mean, he has played 3 or 4 very good games, so it might just be 1 in 5, a little nervous. And the start from St George was hardly what you want in your first grade debut. They were down 10-0 before they were loosened up. There's Chris Quinn now for Ricky Walford. And Walford tackled 30 out from his own line. Inside the final 5, the Dragons. Optus Cup, second round, Saturday night football. We should also point to Sunday football. We'll be off to Campbelltown. And that clash between Western Suburbs and Brisbane. Highlights from 6:30. And I reckon the Broncos are in for quite a reception out at Campbelltown. The locals will be all fired up. As that pass came loose, long diving on it. 5 metres inside his own half. Ed Smith just had to put a hand on to make the tackle. The Sharks blindside with Gavin Jones. Plenty of beef on Gavin Jones inside the St George half. Now Dykes away to Greenhill. Tried to step Stone, and Stone did well to make the tackle. He was wrong-footed. Was able to keep a hold on Craig Greenhill. Now 40 metres out from the line. Healy again firing that pass out, and Green, they open up again, back inside for Eddinghausen. The alarm bells are ringing. E.T. takes on the defence. They went high. He offloads to Bateman, holds up the pass then. Here's Dykes for the corner, throws it back inside to Fisher. Oh, that would have been the try of the season. What about dragging him over the sideline?
Yeah, and he should be sin bin for that. And he has been. That's just foul play. And it can't be tolerated.
Anthony Mundine it is. So he'll serve out the last 3.5 minutes in the dressing room. Jeez, it would have been a try for Cronulla, that one. Pass from Bateman, that last one for Fisher. And the work from young Dykes was superb. He's there taking the free kick now. Cronulla on the attack with Green. For Davidson. St George down to 12 men, tried to slip a pass away. Well, you can do that at 24-10. And now Thompson, counter-attack from the Dragons. Still some fire left. He offloads on his own 20. They're throwing it around. Chris Quinn at Sevens football. Walford throws the one-hander over the top. Now fielded by Brad Smith. He shows a step. And play comes to an end 25 metres out from the Dragons line. Exciting stuff from both teams. If not textbook stuff, as Hardy has tackled 10 short of halfway.
And that's better play from St George. Just a simple hit up with support into a gap. That's something that's really, it's taken them 78 minutes to do that.
Of course, we've got the Optus man of the match at the end of the game. Blocker, bring you in on this. Contenders for man of the match?
Well, I think Andrew Eddinghausen's chased everything that's been on offer. I think Les Davidson's played very well for the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks. So there's any number of players. Paul Green's played well too.
How's that Fincher sitting?
I'll say Les Davidson.
Great Wall of China is his Barnhill. 9 metres short of halfway. Fatty's got the casting vote, of course. As Damien Smith out of dummy half. There's a nice step from the centre, straight through. Then wrong foots the fullback and runs away for a 55, 60-metre try. Great effort by the young centre, Damien Smith. How good was that?
Well, we haven't seen much of him tonight. But what we've seen just there shows he's a very good player. Lots of skill and speed and stepping, all sorts of things there. A little gap there in the mark area, no markers working. The Basil for Paul Green just brushed straight past him. The right foot step on the fullback, and away he went under the sticks. Where's he been all the game? Look at the Cronulla markers not working there. E.T. it was. Just stood there. They've got the game wrapped up. You can excuse that. You can see the anguish on E.T.'s face in the background. But Damien Smith, that'll give him a confidence booster going into next week. And I think a confidence booster for David Wade as Lance Thompson converts.
And the Dragons back to 8 points, 24-16, but time basically up for this match of football. Here it is again. A right foot, another right foot, and away he goes. All of that done at top speed for this young centre, Damien Smith.
John Lang, I think he'd be happy to get the 2 points. He's got a good football side on his hands. They've been together for a few years now. David Waite rebuilding at St George. And I think there's another mistake made by them, but I think there's some things tonight that have happened that would make him think that he's got a good football side on his hands as well. Some good players out there. They just need a bit more cohesion.
Dropout, and they soak up the time St George for full time. So disappointment really the last minute. And John Lang, well, you can smile now. First 2 points in the Optus Cup of 96. Cronulla scoring 5 tries to 3. A bomb attack early which paid huge dividends for the Cronulla Sharks. And they're on the board. Cronulla 20.